let's bring in a guest from AMAC. We talk about them every morning. We thought you would get an idea to get a closer look at exactly what they do. Robert Charles is a spokesman there at AMAC. Robert, good morning. Welcome to American Sunrise.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
We certainly appreciate this partnership. Tell the folks who don't know enough about AMAC exactly what you do.
Sure. Well, I appreciate this opportunity. You know, let me start with my background so people understand why I do what I do and then what it is and what they can do. I worked in the Reagan White House. I worked for Bush 41 and ran a lot of oversight for Gingrich and later was Assistant Secretary to Colin Powell. And at the end of all that, I came to the conclusion, and I was naval intelligence for 10 years, that something had to be done. We had to help America. And frankly, Dan Weber started this organization 15 years ago with the foresight that older Americans were ultimately going to be responsible for doing what they could while they could. At amac.us /RAV, you end up being able to join here and make a huge impact. And how? If you really want to distill what AMAC does, it's all about action, information, and impact. On the impact side and on the action side, they've put in some their delegate volunteers have put in some 56,000 calls to action at the state legislative level. They've turned back ranked choice voting in, I think, 4 or 5 states. They've reduced the costs of medication and of health care in a number of other states. They've passed parents' rights bills in other states. At the national level, they've had, I think they've put in about 500,000 direct calls to a range of people from the White House all the way through Congress and legislators. And frankly, at the end of the day, in the first 6 months, these are all things they've done in the last 6 months. In the last 6 months, they've put in 1.7 messages nationwide to corporate executives and to those that we're trying to get to stay on the right course. So, you know, the bottom line is that, you know, it's kind of like being a parent. You only have so much time to do what you can while you can for America. And AMAC, or joining at amac.us, is the way that you can really have an impact. So the Reagan White House isn't here anymore. Pat Robertson isn't here anymore. A lot of those that have made a big impact on America are not here. But we are here. And with every day that we wake up and we feel that it's a blessing and to live in America, we've got a chance to preserve that and the solvency and the national security and the border security and the constitutional rights for our kids. That's what AMAC's all about. On top of that, of course, you get a great magazine every few weeks. It's unbelievable. I think it's better than Time magazine by all means. And, you know, the other thing you get is these discounts across the board on everything from your medical to hotel and a bunch of other things. So in the end, for pennies on the dollar, you make a huge impact. You help save the country, and you help, frankly, have an impact on your own bottom line in an age of high inflation.
Wow, I was a fan before, but everything that you just pulled out now, I'm like, wait a second. So I want to go back to that grassroots effort for a second, because you're becoming a part of this community. That's a lot of what we do here at Real America's Voice in our chat on the show. We bring people together, and in a force of numbers, we're able to get stuff done. And it sounds like you're working for a real American agenda behind this with all of these grassroots efforts that you're putting in. I'm really impressed by that.
You know, it's so true. And to be honest, I learn things every day. You know, there are more than 2 million AMAC members, tens of thousands in states all over the United States. And they are far more active and far more impactful. They have a far greater impact both in their own state, their own community, and nationally than people realize. And I guess my thinking is you can spend your time on any given day, and you can spend another $20 on any given day on everything from you know, going to Starbucks for a latte, or thinking about what you can do as an American in your time in this moment to help save this country. You know, I was a naval intelligence officer for 10 years, and last 2 weeks ago Saturday, I walked through Arlington National Cemetery, and I thought to myself, and by the way, about 25% of AMAC members are veterans, and 75% have veterans somewhere in their family history. And I thought, what would they expect of us, these people? And they would expect us to get up every day and do what we can to make real or to be equal to the sacrifice they made. And that's what AMAC does every single day.
That's beautiful, the connection to veterans.
Yeah,
I see so many people in our live chat on Getter are saying it's resonating what you mentioned, starting with the torch being passed from the Reagan administration and your own experience. Our friend Sean Lucas saying we all need to carry that torch now. The only bit of disagreement I might have with you is when you're saying people maybe spend some money on a Starbucks latte. We always say you don't spend your money on burnt soy and liberal tears. Instead, beer vet coffee is the one we go with, and I know you were just throwing that away. But my serious question for you is, when you talk talk about carrying that torch that AMAC is doing. I mean, it feels like we're at a crossroads. I mean, we've got over $32 trillion in debt. Back when Reagan was president, he was sitting there with Tip O'Neill trying to figure out what they were going to do on taxes and spending. And we had a viewer write in the other day, we were about $1 trillion, $2 trillion in debt, tops, in about 1982. Okay, now we're $32 trillion in debt. And a lot of those mature Americans are concerned that what's going to happen is that Medicare and some of these other programs are going to get slashed because we're sending all this money to Ukraine. You've got a minute.
No, you're absolutely right. And to be honest, we work on solvency and on Social Security and preserving Social Security and the kinds of programs that you're talking about every single day. You know, Reagan imbued in all those who work in his White House a sense of mission, a sense of principle. And AMAC carries that forward in 100 different ways every day. They protect the First Amendment. They protect the Second Amendment. They speak openly about the importance of being pro-life. They are very determined to carry that torch forward. And I say to you every day, you know, if you could, you know, we don't all get the chance, and I only had it for a short period of time to work in the Reagan White House. But if you want that spirit, then join AMAC, go to amac.us/RAV and make it happen, because you can help save this country. And that's what I do every day. I work to try to pass the torch forward.
Yep. Robert Charles, what an inspiring conversation.
Absolutely. That was great.
We appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Everyone go to amac.us/RAV. We certainly appreciate this partnership.